I'm just past 9 weeks pregnant, more okay with the idea of it all when I think about it as the life of our third child and not just an inconvenience to my plans. That's actually all that I wrote about transitioning to a third kid. Probably because when we had two and then we were transitioning to three, it's just like life is so busy that I don't journal nearly as much as I used to. But I do remember the feelings of it very well. I remember around the time of my second kid's first birthday, so right when he was about to turn one, and I didn't get my period, and I kept not getting my period, and I was just like in denial, like, oh, something must be going on, whatever. And then when I finally came to terms with the fact that I was probably pregnant, and I think I ended up taking a test, it was just kind of like, okay. So we wanted to have a third kid, but not on that timeline. And it was just overwhelming, kind of shocking, frustrating, I think. I felt a lot of emotions. I remember feeling bad for my second kid because he was just about to turn one, and I felt like, move over, buddy, there's a new baby in town. Like, I just felt like he wasn't getting the chance to like be his own baby and his own toddler because already I was like getting ready for the next baby. I was really worried about them being so close in age together. So when my third was born, my second was maybe like 19 months old. They were pretty close. I was just worried about the logistics of having two young kids so close together, like so many diapers. And we live in a fifth floor walk up. So carrying two kids up the stairs, like that's a lot. But like one thing I always come back to is that humans are adaptable and that people have been doing this since the dawn of time, also like in a lot more difficult situations than I myself have. So I feel like that's often like a point of like a comforting reminder to me that like people have done this, I will do this too. Also for me, when I was pregnant with my third baby, the hormones were like so different than I had experienced before. Like it was just really, really intense. It was probably my most unenjoyable pregnancy because of that. And it made it hard to like enjoy my other kids because I was so miserable being pregnant and just like miserable in general. Like I was just kind of like irritated all the time and just like had really very difficult emotional moments through that pregnancy. But I will say that then when our third was born, it was like none of that really mattered. I mean, for sure, having two kids so close in age is difficult for a lot of logistical reasons, but it wasn't like, we've made a mistake, what was I thinking, kind of difficult. It was just like, yeah, like having little kids is demanding and exhausting and difficult. And all three of my babies have been born at home. So my first and second kids, they were ages 4 and 19 months when the third was born. They saw their sibling being born. And that was really cool. And I thought like, oh no, he's too young. He's only 19 months old to like be at his brother's birth. But it was actually really beautiful and really special. And he did really, really well with it. I feel like there's so much I could say about all of this, but one thing I did want to just be very clear about is that it is normal and okay to have a wide range and a mix of emotions, whether your pregnancy is planned or not, whether you're welcoming your first baby or your 15th baby. And that I'm here talking about our unplanned third baby, but we also had an unplanned pregnancy earlier than that that ended in a miscarriage. And that was a whole other mix of emotions, which if this, what I'm about to share might feel insensitive to some people. And so if you think that might be you, I encourage you to stop watching right now. But I also do want to be really like authentic and transparent about my own experience to invite you to also be authentic and transparent about your experience. So the first time I got pregnant, that was unplanned and it was extremely overwhelming. And I cried every single day for weeks, I think. And I felt very much like this, like having a baby was about to ruin my life. And while I was like, I know everything like works out in the end and it'll be fine, like it really doesn't feel like that right now. And like, I really don't like this. And it was hard too because my husband, it was a shock for him too. But he was also like, it's going to be okay. Like, I think this is great. And I was like, it's not going to be okay. It's not great. Like, I don't want this. Then when that pregnancy ended in a miscarriage, I was so relieved. And it's very complex. I mean, as humans, we are complex and our emotions are complex. Me feeling relieved about having a miscarriage brought with it some feelings of guilt for sure, especially for friends that I know who had been trying for years to have a baby and they couldn't. And here I was who was close to having a baby and I lost that baby and I was like, oh, thank God. Like, that's kind of, those are hard emotions to deal with, but that is how I felt and that was my experience. And I've talked to other moms who've had similar experiences where a miscarriage is a relief. And I share this experience because if that is you, for one thing, I would be honored to hear your story and just hold space for you and let you know that you're not alone. And for another thing, everyone's experience is very real and true and authentic to them. And I think it is very important to be compassionate and empathetic and understanding of other people's experiences. But just because someone has what you have and you don't want it, doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel the way that you feel. I think you definitely need to be mindful and careful about your words and what you share and all of that. But I also don't want you to suppress your own emotions and your own experience out of the fear of hurting someone else. Just be wise in not sharing it with people that it might be hurtful to. Don't hide those emotions from yourself, if that makes sense. Anyway, I hope that's helpful, sharing a little bit about the surprise of our third baby, the surprise of our first baby who ended up being a miscarriage. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below this video. And thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I wish you the best on your journey.